our research webinar, I think number 8 for 2020. And we have here with us is Dr. Wan Irham from UiTM Merbok. And a little bit about Dr. Wan. About Dr. Wan. Dr. Wan Irham Ishak is a senior lecturer at the Academy of Language Studies, UiTM Mara Kedah branch, Merbok. We always call it UiTM Merbok. He obtained his PhD certificate in English language specializing in business communication from UPM. His research interest is in the area of language and English for specific purposes, discourse and communication studies, professional communication and applied linguistics. We have here, Dr. Irham also provided us with his email. I will put it into the chat box later, and his phone number. Can I share your phone number, Dr. Wan?
Boleh, can.
Alright, okay. So without further ado, I'll pass the floor to you, Dr. Wan.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Chemah, Tamby, Chik. I'm very happy to see you online today. Alhamdulillah. This is a good opportunity for everyone to actually share and also learn from one another's experience. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning. My name is Wan Irham Ishak and I'm attached to UiTM Merbok, Academy of Language Studies. So we have today the last of the 5 lectures on language guidelines on improving your writing techniques for journal manuscripts. And the focus today is focus on in-text citations and references. For your information, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that I myself have gone through the experience of doing this part last minute. For your information, doing this part last minute is not something that you want to do or that you should do, because this one is actually something that you have to do very, very early from the beginning, and it must progress together with your paper. Okay? So let me share with you the slide for today. Can you hear me well, everyone?
Yes.
Okay, good. Alhamdulillah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Syahirah kah tu?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so this is the title. And what we have here today, you can stop me anytime, okay, to ask me questions. So the outline of the presentation for today, there will be 7, okay. So the focus is on in-text citations and references. Now there are 7. We will look at common citation styles, APA citation style, sample in-text citations and references with common errors and corrected versions, the 7th edition of APA citations, and the notable changes, the mechanics of citation, conclusion, and question and answer. So ladies and gentlemen, what are the common citation styles? What we have, it depends on the university, and also it depends on what we call as specialization. We have today with us friends and also audience from different areas, social sciences, humanities, they are lumped together. But there are also people from engineering, from medical school, from accountancy. And like it or not, not every school of study will have similar citation. So we have the common ones for University of Pittsburgh, APA, MLA, Chicago, Turabian, and IEEE. Purdue University, APA, MLA, Chicago, IEEE, and AMA, AMA. And then we have here American Meteorological Society, AMS, APA, Chicago, Harvard, and Modern Humanities Research Association, MHRS, by the University of Reading. So here we have two from the United States of America and one example from the UK. Ladies and gentlemen, an author like you, like me, we must know which citation style is required by the journal that the author intends to submit his or her manuscript. And this also applies to your PhD if you are doing your PhD. And of course, we want to know this before we actually write the paper. If, for example, you are familiar with APA and the journal says, please write using Chicago, don't blame the journal. That's what they do. We have to adapt. But I don't know about Chicago. We have to learn. I had one experience doing where I had to do Chicago citation style, and of course the new generation will say OMG. It's totally different. I had to learn from scratch. Luckily, we have the internet now. We can refer to many different sites to learn more about Chicago and so on. Right? So bear in mind, nothing is, not everything will accept APA. Not every journal will accept APA. Some will use other citation or other, citation styles. What we have to do is, we have to learn. And we have to enjoy the experience of learning citation styles. Okay, so what is APA citation style? For our discussion today, for our workshop today, we will look at APA citation. Okay, because in general, rata-rata what we have here, APA is accepted. Okay, APA style provides a foundation for effective scholarly communication because it helps authors to present their ideas in a clear, concise, and organized manner. And of course, I believe if you refer to other citation style, they will have something like this as well. Okay? All right, can we move on? Syahira?
Sure, sir.
All right. So this is the in-text citation rules. Now, there is a difference a little bit, yeah. So if you know one author, apa beza dia? What is the difference between in bracket and also according to Svenick 2019? What do we call that in bracket? It is called parenthetical citation, and according to that is narrative. So according to Svenick, kalau ladies and gentlemen, if your daughter or you yourself like, what movie was that? Sven. Frozen. Okay, so this is the author, but not the same guy in Frozen lah. Sven. So what we have here, one author, two authors. In parenthetical, we use the symbol. Okay, we use the symbol, but in narrative, Brown and Levinson, we must spell out the word "and," right? And three or more authors. Now, what we have here is we simply put the first author, right? Next, what we have here, in-text citation rules, corporate author, where over here, we do not have names of Jackson 2011. We do not have names of, for example, Gumpers 1987. So what we have here is the name of the institution. For example, first citation in text, first time narrative style, according to the National Heart, Lung and Blood Institute in bracket NHLBI, 2017. Subsequently, second citation in text narrative style, we don't have to mention, we don't have to write again National Heart, Lung and Blood Institute. Simply, we put it as NHLBI 2017 suggested that. Alright? It helps to reduce the number of words that we will have to write throughout the journal article. Okay, so this is also very important. Okay, first citation in text, parenthetical style. The first time we mentioned National Heart Lung Institute, Blood Institute, NHLBI 2017, and second citation and subsequently you will only use NHLBI 2017. Okay, so this one is very important. We will make sure that we follow this. Okay, next. Now we move on to in-text citation rules, special consideration. The first one, we have 2 or 3 authors, but they have similar surname. Okay, distinguish between the 2 authors by including first initials. So we have Jackson, Michael Jackson, 2010, Andrew Jackson, 2015. How do we differentiate which Jackson is which? So we add the first initial, M period Jackson, comma 2010. Andrew Jackson, A full stop Jackson, comma 2015. So we know that we are actually referring to two sources. One can be from a book, one can be from a journal, or both can be journal articles, but we are referring to different authors. Next one, when citing multiple works by the same author within the same parenthesis, arrange the work chronologically separated by a comma. Chronologically means it is about year. Okay, Serikan Sarangi, we cite only Sarangi, 2000, 2001, 2008. Okay, this is our area. Yeah, he is more into communication, medical communication and so on. Serikan Sarangi, a very distinguished professor in the UK. So far so good. All right, we move on. For 2 or more works, when we say works, it can be books, it can be journals, it can be other types of work by the same author in the same year. Some people are very prolific. They write 10 journal articles, they write 20 books, for example, in the same year. So what do we have to do? Use lowercase letters A, B, C with the year. The letters indicate the alphabetical order of the titles of the works. This is not about the date. Holmes 2011A found that the title of the book is Being a Woman and a Man in New Zealand. That one is A because it starts with being, B. Holmes 2011B reported that B over here, another book is Meetings in New Zealand Factories. So the book title is Meeting, M. So that one comes later. Like in the references over here, the real one is Holmes, J, Janet Holmes 2011A because it is leadership, L. And Holmes 2011B, it is W, women. All right. So this is how we differentiate. It is about not the date of the publication, 2011 January and B 2011 December, but it is about alphabetical order, title. Okay. Next, in-text citation, special consideration number 4. If the author is missing, provide the author date and the author, date, title and source of the work. Cite the source by its title. Okay, cite the source by its title in the signal phrase, or use the first word or 2 words in the parenthesis. Okay, omit a, and the from the title. Titles of the articles and chapters are put in quotation marks. Titles of books and reports are italicized. In-text citation, so we don't have the author. we can say an article titled "Use Other Ways to Quit Smoking, Says Experts," 2019 reported that. So we take the whole title, or in parenthetical, use inverted comma 2019. Okay. So the citation will be use other ways to quit smoking and the newspaper and page 10 and so on, right? We can still use sometimes we are afraid. When I was doing my degree in TESOL, if we have something like this, it was a problem. At that time, internet was not as good as this. If we have something like this, OMG, what to do? It's almost the end of the world. But now everything is ready, everything is customer friendly, and I am here to share with you what we can do. Okay, all right. When I was doing my bachelor degree in text citation and references was not something that I liked. In fact, oh my God, this one is something that is I try to run away from. But now looking at this, I laugh at myself and I want to share that I have that not so good experience. But now with this, I will tell you how I did my PhD about references and in-text citation. I will tell you later along the way. But now it is something that I look forward to and I want to share with you. Okay. When citing two or more works, order them alphabetically. Use a semicolon to separate them. Sarangi S, Toro T. S comes first, T comes later, not the year. All right? And if the date of publication is missing, write ND, an abbreviation for no date. Okay, you can have the citation. Higher tobacco outlet density is associated with higher likelihood of smoking by initiation by minors and adults. We can still quote Smith and you just put no date. Okay, all right. This one, if the source is cited in another source, record the source that you read, not the original one. So, Fong's 2003 study as cited in Bertram 2009. So what happened here? Found that older students' memory can be as good as that of young people. Actually, the original idea was from Fong's 2003. And the author who cited Fong was Bertram 2009. But we read a journal article from Bertram 2009. Okay? So we cite Bertram 2009 and not Fong. But sir, I want to have more references. The journal article say I need 30 references. I need 30 in-text citation. My supervisor says I need to find the original article. So what do you have to do? Google it. Use Google Scholar. Use ResearchGate to find the original article. How do I find original article, sir? I don't know how to. If you have found Bertram 2009, go to the last pages, a few last pages. Of course, Bertram will list all the references. And definitely, he will cite Fong. You can get from there where to find Fong's 2003. But how do I get that? I don't know. The best way is to ask for the help from librarian. They will help you. Our librarians are very, very clever people. They are very resourceful and they are my friends. I will ask them and they will help me. And I suggest the same way. But usually with a little bit of internet, with a little bit of knowledge, we can simply find the article very easily now. Okay? So do not include Fong 2003 in your references. Do include Bertram 2009. And those who are doing PhD, let me remind you, some universities, some external examiners at the PhD level, they do not want this kind of citation. Okay, let it sink. They do not want. If you have this, some external examiners will say, please find the new source. Kalau tak ada. Or please find the original source. PhD level, I don't know about you if you are supervisors, and I believe you will also advise your students not to cite like this. Okay, but I believe for degree and masters, some will tolerate, but not PhD. And of course, we have examiners from other institutions. They are very, very strict about this. Yeah, so please bear in mind. If you don't practice this, it's also good. Okay, anonymous authors. If the author is missing, do not use anonymous as the author unless the work is actually signed anonymous. Yang macam tadi tu, what we have here, if we don't have author, we simply say anonymous. It is not the rule. Unless the work is actually signed anonymous. If the work is signed anonymous, then you can use anonymous. Okay? Anonymous 2017. So we have over here, remember, only if we have signed as anonymous. And we have here parenthetical citation, anonymous, comma, 2017, narrative citation, anonymous, 2017. All right. The next one is personal communication. Those who are doing what kind of study? Qualitative study. You will have a lot of interviews. You will have what we call it video communication and so on. Examples of personal communications are letters, memos, email, electronic bulletin boards, personal interviews, telephone conversations, etc. In such cases, text should be cited. Okay, but do not include in the reference list because the information is not recoverable. So we can still include in our in-text citation, I, Tokugawa, personal communication, comma, January 25th, 2019, suggested in the email that says what and what. Or you can also say, parenthetical citation, given all the particular factors, I, Tokugawa, personal communication, comma, January 25th, 2019, we must put the date, the exact date. Include initials and an exact date. And last part here, no entry in the reference list is needed as personal communications are unable to be retrieved. It's between the researcher and the person he or she interviewed. Okay. Next one. We are going to move on to sample of in-text citations and references. In-text citation, Svenevik 2011 mentioned, leadership is associated with actions that gain predominance in mobilizing action and shaping organizational reality. Okay. References. Svenevik, and what is this? Okay, this is the reference. What we are trying to say here is that apa yang ada dalam in-text citation, dalam your article, dalam your thesis, dalam your journal manuscripts, kena ada dalam references. That is one of the first rules in thesis as well as journal writing. The editors, the examiners will look at this. And according to Professor Supian Hussain of UiTM, he taught me educational technology when I was doing my degree. Tapi yang dia cakap, kata the examiners simply will look at references and in text. Kalau berterabur, if they are not in good order, it will tell whether the thesis is good or not. So that's from him in his what you call it, experience as examiner, thesis examiner. So bear in mind, make sure you have good reference list. This one, red color. Why is it in red color? We love red color today. Gampus, JJ 2009, Speech Community, Linguistic Anthropology, a reader 166. What is this? You will say to me, my students said to me, sir, it's very easy now. Citation generator machine ada. Google Scholar. I even taught my students to use Google Scholar and to copy directly. This is what I copy directly. Gampus JJ, Speech Community, Linguistic Anthropology. You get the idea? Okay. So what is this? From the source, if we copy directly, we don't know what this is about. Sekali tengok, macam journal, macam buku, and what is this? We move on first to the next page, then I come back to this. You know why? Because we have to be a little bit of James Bond here. In the spirit of the next James Bond, we have to investigate. The cover page states here, Linguistic Anthropology, the Reader, second edition, edited by Alessandro Duranti. And we can see here, the publisher is Wiley Blackwell. Table of content. What we want to cite is actually from John J. Gampus, the Speech Community. And it is page 66. Ladies and gentlemen, Google Scholar gave us incomplete reference. Please bear in mind, not all given by Google Scholar is correct. And that's why we are here today. I'm sharing with you a little bit of my experience. What happened? We ourselves must take the responsibility to know what's going on. Okay? To know what's going on, what we have is right or wrong. So let's move on. Elements for book reference. Author, copyright year, title of book, and publisher. And then elements for chapter in a book. Author surname, of chapter or article, first initial, second initial, year, article or chapter, in editor, first initial, second initial, surname, and then in bracket, editor, book title, and so on. So what we have here from this red Gampus JJ 2009, what do we have to do? We have to investigate, find a little bit more. It is not actually Gampus who authored the book. Gampus was just one of the contributors in the edited book. And this edited book was published in 2009, and the editor was Alessandro Duranti. Okay, so it totally the reference list will totally change. You know why? Because now we have added a little bit more information. Gampus JJ 2009, the Speech Community. This one is the title of Gampus article in A. Duranti, editor, and the title of the book, Linguistic Anthropology, second edition, a reader, pages, scan, and Wiley Blackwell. Okay? From Google Scholar, from other citation that you can find, EndNote lah, and so on, please, they can give you something, but please verify. Right? This is one example. There's a lot more. Now, we move on to references.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Macam yang tadi tu Gampus tu. So bila
Yeah.
kita cite inside the text, kita cite Gampus lah kan?
Yeah, betul.
Okay. Alright.
Campus.
Okay.
Is that all?
Yes.
Okay, you cite campus. Okay, you're welcome. Yeah, please, straight away, if you can stop me. Now we move on to references. A references page is the last page of an essay or research paper that has been written in APA style. It lists all the sources you have used in your project, so readers can easily find what you have cited. Of course, we are very angry if we try to find reference lists from one journal article, but it's not there because we want to directly copy what's written by other author so that we can save time. And this one is also very important. Referencing can be described as giving credit. This is something that we like. I want to be cited. Hey, where is one Irham? I want to be cited. For example, my friend borrowed my master's or PhD thesis. He or she suddenly, after 6 months, returned the thesis to me. Dah tak macam thesis pun. Okay? And then he or she submitted his or her thesis. When I read his or her thesis, not even one single name of one Irham there. So we want to make sure that we are given credit with citation, okay, to the source of information used in one's work. Of course, journal article, thesis, we don't build them simply out of the dust. It must be from sources that we have read. Research is a build-up of what other people have previously done. Thus, referencing helps to relate your own work to the previous work. Okay, this is also something that we must bear in mind. Okay. Okay, rules for reference lists. This one, I have to admit that we have to keep reminding ourselves. This is from Ho 2020. All citations in your text must appear in your reference list. Like I mentioned, Prof. Sofian says, in order to check whether a thesis is properly written or not, cross-check in text citation and reference list. The first page also, maybe there are 10 citations. We go back to look at the reference list. Are the names listed on the first page of your thesis available in the references? If they are available, Alhamdulillah, then the examiner will read something else. All entries in your reference list must appear as citations in your text. This is what we do when we were submitting assignment during our degree years, doing bachelor degrees. Copy 10, 20 sources, put in the reference list. But in the actual assignment, there were only 5 citations. Okay, but that was that time. Now, as we progress, now as we learn, we have to make sure that it is not something that you want to pass to your next generation of students. Okay, you must teach them that this is something that you should do. This is something to ensure that we want others to be given credit, and this is the proper way. I always use the analogy of masak asam pedas. Okay, how to prepare Malay traditional food of asam pedas. For those who are not from Malaysia, okay, what we are talking about, in order to have your essay, in order to have a journal manuscript, it is like preparing food. Without 1 or 2 ingredients, it will not be complete. Okay. And there must be a perfect match in text citation and reference list. Then we have to start on a new page, not in your conclusion section or not in your, what we call it, in your recommendation section. Enter the title references at the top of the page. List sources alphabetically by first author's last name or by title if no author is given. Ignore a and the at the beginning of the title when listing. Omit abbreviations such as PhD, and titles such as Professor. You must use also double space, flush left and the first line of the entry and indent the subsequent lines. Example, use hanging indent. Include all sources cited in the paper except for personal communication. Okay, it is reminded here again, personal communication should not, must not be listed in references. Okay, use initials rather than author's full first names. Okay, capitalize on the first letter of book and article titles only. For example, the book title is long. Capitalize only the first letter of book. Okay. Capitalize all major words in journal titles. Okay. Next one, italicize titles of longer works such as books and journals. Do not italicize, underline, or put quotation marks around the titles of shorter works such as a journal article or essays in edited collection. Capitalize the first word after a colon or a dash in the title. Capitalize proper nouns. Kuala Lumpur, London. Name of location, Mahmeri tribe. Okay, Mahmeri tribe is Aboriginal people of Malaysia. Do not capitalize the first letter of the second word in a hyphenated compound word. For 21 or more authors, include the first 19 authors' names, then insert 3 dots and add the final author's names. Ladies and gentlemen, 21 or more authors, we don't hear this in social science and humanities manuscripts. But for science and technology, medical papers, according to Professor Sirikan Sarangi in one of his workshops that I attended, the list of the authors sampai 2 muka surat, 2 pages of authors, and the whole manuscript was only 5 pages, but they contribute to the preparation and final product of the manuscript. Okay, so yes, we have something like that. But in social science, if you have, you can share with me. And this is something that we want to cover almost all people. Yeah. Okay, references. Let us continue a little bit more. Articles, journal, magazine, and newspaper. So this one is something that we cannot memorize. We cannot memorize, but we have to print this out or at least letak tepi or letak di atas. In my case, I will put in the last name, first initial, and so on, and then I will write the reference list. Last name, first initial, middle initial, publication date, title of article, subtitle of article, title of periodical, volume, okay, page range, HTTPS, DOI. Okay, notes. Apa itu DOI? Okay, don't say adoi lah. Alright, it is Digital Object Identifier System. It's a string of numbers, letters, and symbols used to permanently identify an article or document and link to it on the web. What is the positive side of this DOI? This DOI will help your reader easily locate a document from your citations. In this case, we are moving towards naik pangkat, 54, VK, 7, 5, 4, whatever. We want to make sure our citation is good, H index, this index. So this one will help to link that to you, to your name, as the brain behind such and such paper. Of course, if you want to cite, you will say, oh, this is making my life difficult. But if you are in the academic line, if you are the researcher, and you need this for your career advancement, this is something that you must follow religiously. That's all that I want to say. Okay. If you provide the periodical, okay, now we don't need to provide a retrieval date. Okay. With notes and exceptions, only provide an issue number if each issue's pagination starts at page 1. To find out if the pagination continues from issue to issue, check the page numbers. High page numbers indicate continuous pagination. Alright? If you are still not sure, go to the journal's homepage and so on. You can read this. Journal articles only need the year. Magazine, newspaper and newsletter articles require the year and the exact date. Okay. Journal is considered periodical. Magazine, newspaper, newsletter articles are also periodicals. But you must know the difference. Journal articles only need year, the rest exact date, months and day. The only articles that have P dot in front of the page numbers are newspaper articles. Okay, this is the example given. Journal article, continuous pagination with DOI. Okay, journal article paginated by issue with DOI, magazine, article online, newspaper article online. Okay, this is the example. I myself will follow this, something like this, and I will type whatever information that I have in the in-text citation, and then I will use this as my clue, my cue to write my own references. And this is something that is good. Next, we go to books, including ebooks and reference books. Last name, first initial, middle initial, publication year, title of book, double dot there, subtitle of book, city, state, abbreviation, publisher. Okay, do we need city, state, and so on? Okay, we will look at this. This is an example. Multiple authors and so on. Edited book. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we also must know whether that is the book authored by the author, or that is edited book where the editor and also the contributing authors have their own say in the book. All right. If your students need help, please help them or guide them to the librarians. They will be able to help the students. If we need help, I myself will refer to the librarians because they are the expert in the book. And in UiTM Kedah, Alhamdulillah, we have Faculty of Information Management. My friends, they are all very helpful in helping us to identify whether this is a book, whether this is a magazine, whether this is an edited book or whatnot. Okay. Online sources. This is how. Last name, first initial, middle initial. The note here is this. APA citation is about the source, not the location of the source. Okay. And this is the reference, online sources. This is media, audio. Now we can also cite media, audio, and so on. We can cite motion picture as viewed in a theater. But wayang tutup sekarang ni. So you can cite your wayang and so on. Video, DVD. We can also cite YouTube or social media video. Audio podcast. Artwork image and digital image, music recording. Okay. And then we can also cite technical and research reports. Okay. research and technical reports, some will have publisher. Format references for reports, okay. If the report has a number, include it in parentheses after the title and before the period, but not in italics. Report. And I believe there will be a lot of reports for a certain area of study, especially kajian impak. In Malaysia, we have kajian impak, kajian keberkesanan, something, okay. We have here technical and research report. Okay, we move on. This is how. Corporate author, government report, no report number. All right. Corporate author, government report, report number. Authored report from institutional archive. This one I myself tak hafal lah. You cannot memorize all this. But Alhamdulillah, what we have here, we have this that we can actually refer from. Okay. Course material. Okay. Course material. Kalau boleh diambil semula. Keep in mind that the reference list is designed to provide access to retrievable sources. In many cases, the information you receive in class cannot be retrieved in other way. Because of that, many course materials are cited as personal communication. When it is personal communication, we don't have to put that in the reference list. A personal communication is cited only in text. Provide the initials and last name. Okay. If the course material is somehow stored and published properly, you can cite and put it in the reference list. Okay, so this is personal communication. All right. PowerPoint, these are the example. Okay, course packs, class notes, PowerPoint or other file. Okay. Documents uploaded to Blackboard. Okay. Now we move on to conference, meeting, symposium materials. Okay, last name, first initial, middle initial, paper or poster presentation, and we must also include the city where the conference was held. Okay. First one is the conference. Second one, title of session, title of symposium. And the last one is proceedings, publication. Okay. And now publication is easily available online. During my time back in year 2008, 2009, proceedings will be this thick. We have to carry back 10 kilos. And then they came in the CD form. But now it's very easy. It is in the form of online publication. Everyone can retrieve it from anywhere, even from your handphone. Alhamdulillah. Notes. Unpublished paper or poster session should follow the first example above, yang tadi tu. Unpublished symposia or meeting session should follow the second example. Unpublished conference proceeding in book format should follow other references. Ada table there. Published conference proceedings that are published in a regular series follow the article format. Okay, this one. The last one, right? Okay, we have here the simple to make our life simpler and easier. Conference session, conference poster session, abstract retrieve online, conference proceeding article. Okay. Interview pula. Interview. Interview is personal communication, first initial, middle initial, last name, personal communication, date discussed. First initial, middle initial, okay. Keep in mind that the reference list is designed to provide access to retrievable sources. Because of that, interviews are cited as personal communication. Now, personal communication is cited in text only. Provide the initials and last name of the person, the exact date and phrase, personal communication. Since it is not published anywhere, it is only personal communication. Kalau dulu interview, we have to do it face to face. I remember when I was doing my PhD, we went to actually record the conversation between an insurance agent and also a potential client, prospect. So I have this recorder that I put on the table during the session. But now, Alhamdulillah, with the advancement of technology, interview can be done face-to-face online like this. Okay? And it is easier, but it is still considered as personal communication. Okay? This is the example. Legal materials, those in the law faculty, legal materials, common abbreviations, Congress, US Congress, H.R. House of Representatives, S. Senate, REG. Is regulation. Legal materials, reference. This one is for brief. The second one is for case. Case, of course, we have to put Windhorse versus Stone Breaker in text citation, it is in italic and so on. Appeal case, affirm decision, unreported decision, reference and in-text citation, and unreported decision located in a database. Okay, and we have a lot more. Enacted statute, specific provision, information in a statute, federal testimony, unenacted federal bills and resolutions, enacted federal resolutions. This one, we need some time to digest. And if you don't understand fully, it is understood. What we need is, we need to be alone after listening to my discussion here today, and we go back to look at one by one. Okay, between reference and in-text citation. Okay, there's a lot more. US Constitution, referred to in passing, references to parts currently still in use, references to parts no longer used. I think I will skip this one. But you have to know this if you are in the legal, not legal battle, but if you are writing legal papers. And I believe our colleagues in the law faculty will be happy to assist us. Okay, now what we must know, the 7th edition APA citations. Ladies and gentlemen, for your information, this is very important. 6th edition published on June 29th, 2009. The 7th edition published on December 24th, 2019. Tak sampai setahun lagi. One day before Christmas 2019. So what happened here is that you referred to journal articles, Sarangi 2010, Sarangi 2015, and Kotler 1999, Kotler 15th edition 2009, or something like that. Yeah. So what happened here is that we are doing easy job of copying the reference list from these journal articles in 2014, 2015. So bear in mind that there are notable changes in the 7th edition. If the journal that you want to send your manuscript requires you to follow the 7th edition, please check again the reference list that you have, whether it follows the 7th edition or whether you simply copied from the 6th edition. Okay, so this is the, what we call it, the simple changes, the format, and the citation guide. Now, citation guidelines and sample references, 7th edition. 118 sample references, including traditional sources, for example, journal, articles, books, dissertations, and reports, plus many other, example, social media, web pages, and websites, legal material. That's why we have a lot in the legal section just now. Accessibility Guideline, 7th edition, expanded to include general guidelines for reducing bias. Ni bahasa-bahasa lah ni. Bahasa-bahasa. Sekarang ni kita kata we are very concerned. We don't want to offend people. We want to make sure everyone feels happy. We want to make sure that we do not marginalize certain group of people. Contoh di Malaysia ni dulu orang kata janda. Sekarang ni orang kata apa? Ibu tunggal. Macam tu lah. One example. Okay. So we have specific guidelines for writing about age, disability, gender, participation in research, racial and ethnic identity, sexual orientation, socio-economic status, and also intersectionality. I will tell you more later. Sample tables and figures. We have 23 sample tables and figures, citation guidelines and sample references, 118 sample references, including traditional sources, and many other. Okay. Now we go to writing style and grammar, guidelines for effective scholarly writing and grammar usage, included updated usage of pronouns, strategies to help students improve their writing, mechanics of style, guidance on punctuation, lists, italics, spelling, capitalization, abbreviations, numbers, metrication, statistics, and what's that, the last one? Equations. Okay, this is the most important one. Yang ni sebab kalau 2014 ada lagi New York. So apa yang berlaku? The publisher location is no longer included in the reference. Tidak ada lagi publisher location. So New York take out. If you take this from 2014 punya journal article, bear in mind that New York, NY tu dah tak ada. Straight away kepada publisher. Kalau I tengok sekali, I tahu lah ni yang lama punya ni the 6th edition, not the 7th. Publisher location is not included. In-text citations are shortened. Taylor, Kotler, Johnson, and Parker, 2018. So what happened here? The in-text citation for works with 3 or more authors is now shortened right from the first citation. First citation pun tak payah bubuh dah. There is no need to include Kotler, Johnson, and Parker. Simply write Taylor et al. 2018. So the second one is the correct one. Okay. Up to 20 authors in the reference list. Surnames and initials. Surnames and initials for up to 20 authors instead of 7. Kalau dulu 7 saja, should be provided in the reference entry. So now if you are author number 29, Alhamdulillah, your name will still be listed in the reference list. Your contribution is highly appreciated. Okay? So, bear in mind. If you copy from 2014, tengok-tengok dalam tu ada 15 authors, you have to go back to find the original author, the original manuscript and cite in the reference list all names. Okay? DOIs are formatted the same as URLs. The label DOI is no longer necessary. There is no need for DOI like this. The first one, go for the second one. HTTPS, blah blah blah, DOI. Okay? Citing web pages. Okay, what happened here? URLs are no longer proceeded by retrieve from. We don't need retrieve from unless a retrieval date is needed. So there is no need for that. The website name is included. The website name BBC is included now. BBC News. Unless it is the same as the author and the web page titles are italicized. Okay, so far so good. Ada yang kena buang. We have to omit retrieve from, but we have to include. What do we have to include? BBC News is actually the website name. Alright.
Doktor,
Next, yes.
nak tanya yang tahun tu nak letak tahun ke nak tak bukan sebelum ni tahun ke, kena letak tarikh kita tengok website tu ke atau tarikh artikel tu dikeluarkan dalam website?
Tarikh tak perlu dah, tarikh yang akan dikeluarkan dalam website tu. Yang ni kan, yang number 5 ni ke?
Contoh 2019 November 14 tu tarikh kita tengok website tu atau tarikh artikel tu dikeluarkan? Kebanyakannya tak ada tarikh.
Yang ni tarikh artikel. Yang ni tarikh artikel.
Kena ada bulan selama ni kan letak tahun saja.
Yang ni sebab dia
selama ni saya letak tahun.
Dia kena,
yang baru punya kena letak. Ni new.
Yang ni yang macam saya cakap tadi lah. Yang macam saya cakap tadi, dia perlukan semualah. Kalau sebab ini adalah newspaper, artikel yang dia masuk dalam periodical, yang tak perlukan yang tak perlukan tarikh semua ni hanyalah journal artikel. Kalau periodical lain apa semua tu, dia perlukan tahun, dia perlukan bulan dan dia perlukan tarikh.
Kalau website biasa saja, website ada bulan tarikh.
Macam mana
juga tu? Kalau kita ambil daripada website,
dia bergantung kepada jenis website tu lah, doktor. Contohnya, boleh bagi contoh tak?
Kadang-kadang kita ambil daripada website, contoh website apa website biasa-biasa, bukan website yang news. Dia macam website
website daripada Jabatan Penerangan lah kita katakan.
Lebih kurang macam tu.
Yang tu kita pergi kepada tahun lah. Dia tahun macam saja, awal tadi saya beritahu yang institution tu. Betul lah tu.
Okay. Terima kasih doktor.
Institution. Ya, sama-sama. Yang kata tadi, yang kata apa? NHLBI tadi tu kan. Kita cite tarikh dia je kan. Yang tu lah. Yang awal tadi. Okay.
Baik.
Okay, we go on to citing. Boleh doktor? Yang saya explain tu?
Boleh, faham. Terima kasih doktor.
Okay, sama. Next, we move on to citing ebooks. Ebooks. So what is ebook? Generasi inilah ebook lah. Saya ni kalau ebook saya sakit mata, tak boleh baca. Saya akan baca pegang tangan lah. For example, novels and so on also. Novels and so on, I still have to, ni textbook. Kalau saya mesti pegang macam ni lah. Kalau tengok lama-lama nanti sakit mata. So citing ebooks, what we have here, the format, platform or device. For example, Kindle is no longer included in the reference and the publisher is included. So Kindle version ni ambil buang. We take out the Kindle version. So we include publisher, Springer Nature. Okay. So that's why we have read here dekat pangkah atas tu Kindle version. So we take Kindle out, we put the publisher. Okay, so far so good ya. Yang ni pun bagus juga, tapi susahnya sebab saya tak pernah lah buat filem ke apa benda kan. Contributors other than authors. Tapi kita juga beri kepada dia hak macam author. Media type, film. The director is Martin Scorsese. That one I know lah, Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola. They are included as author. TV series, executive producer, Mark Harmon, NCIS. So Harmon 2020. podcast episode, siapa-siapa nak ni lah. I tak pernah tengok podcast episode ni. Okay, host of the episode. For example, you can put one name. And then webinar instructor.
Dr. Wan nak tanya.
Ya, boleh.
How about if it's like macam okay, suara rakyat contoh rancangan suara rakyat. And dia ada dia punya pengacara, host. Kemudian dia ada jemputan, mungkin menteri ke atau siapalah jemputannya. So bila kita cite the conversation, kita nak tulis nama siapa dalam kita punya citation tu, in text tu. Nama host ke nama menteri yang menjawab tu ataupun nama orang speaker yang menjawab soalan host?
Sekejap lagi sekali, betul?
Dr. Wan bagi ni kan, media type ni semua kan, TV ni. Kemudian include as author, okay, ni include as author, tapi bila kita cite dalam kita punya citation, sebab saya tengok tu ada macam podcast episode, ada host episode semua kan. So kita nak tulis nama orang host atau nama speaker yang menjawab tu. Dia ada
kalau ikut sini dia, kalau macam podcast episode, host of the episode lah.
Host of the episode. Lepas tu title of the conversation.
Ya, kita move on je. So dia lebih kepada apa orang kata, yang disenaraikan di sini, yang siapa yang layak dapat title as author.
As author. Tapi dekat tu include as author. Maksudnya dia
maksudnya kita boleh include as author lah. Right. Maksudnya contributors other than authors tu.
Baik. Okay. So dia lah authornya, not
author, kemudian ada tajuk program.
Baik. Oh, okay.
So kita ada author, lepas tu tajuk program.
Program. Ya, baik. Okay.
Ya. Boleh betul?
InsyaAllah.
Can I move on?
Ya, okay, doktor.
Okay. Ini bab inclusive and bias free language pula. Ni orang bahasa lah. Dan bila orang bahasa ni kita faham lah sikit. Saya lah duk kaji bahasa dan juga tengok ni, kita nak tengok updated guidelines. Reduce bias around topics such as gender, age, disability. We are living in the 21st century and we want to make sure whatever is written is free from this lah. Gender, jangan panggil orang pondan ke, jangan panggil orang aqua ke, that one is not something appropriate. Tak boleh panggil lagi orang tua lah. Disability pun don't say something like that. Racial, kalau macam di US tu kalau sebut speak tu tak boleh lah, SPIC. Kalau sebut black pun tak boleh. Kalau sebut nigger lagi tak boleh. You cannot say that. Ethnic identity, that one is also very sensitive. And I believe in the media, in social media, and even in parliament now, we are very aware of that. And there are cases where members of parliament pun have been reprimanded for saying things that is very, 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 very gender biased. And I believe some male parliamentarians were actually given warning for saying something that is not appropriate to the female gender. Okay. We must be sensitive to labels and describing individuals at the appropriate level of specificity. Ya. Sebab macam tadi kita kata janda, kita sebut ibu tunggal. Kemudian kita kata perkataan-perkataan yang lebih gender neutral. A researcher's career depends on how often he is cited. So a researcher's career depends on how often they are cited. So it covers both. There's no need for he only. Even though kalau dalam grammar ni, if we teach grammar, like myself ni, I akan kata a researcher's career, satu, depends on how often they are cited. Dia jadi grammar tak berapa betul. So, tapi dalam kes ni boleh diterima pakai dalam APA citation. But if you feel that it is still not suitable, you can change this to Researchers' career depend on how often they are cited. We make it plural. Plural subject, and that will follow nicely to how often they are cited. Right. Each examiner submitted his or her assessment. Each examiner submitted their assessment. Is also acceptable. Or if you are like me, you don't feel good about it, you can say examiners submitted their assessment. Okay, plural. Be sensitive to labels, the poor. So we can say people living in poverty. This one, the translation wise to the mind of the second language speakers like us tak nampak sangat. But to the native speakers of English, the poor and people living in poverty, it means something. Okay, and if we have the bahasa Melayu punya context, it is more appropriate. Alright, transsexuals, transgender people. Kita ada ingat, okay dah transsexual ni rupanya tak boleh juga. Transgender people. It is more politically correct. It is more academically correct. Appropriate level of specificity, over 65 years old. People age 65 to 75. Of course, kalau kita di Malaysia ni, if we look at this, we don't see any difference. But in academic, this is how it is supposed to be written. Okay, Asian participants. Now this one we have to make sure which Asian countries are we talking about. Vietnamese, Cambodia, and Thai participants. If we are looking at Malaysia, we have to put Malaysia here because Malaysia, Indonesia, the Philippines, we are also living in Asian countries. More specific. Okay. So specific group juga tadi, people age 65 to 75. Bukan over 75. Over 75 saja ni boleh jadi sampai umur 90, 100. So that is age group, specific. Ladies and gentlemen, we move on to punctuation. Okay. Mechanics of punctuation. Kenapa penting dalam in-text citation and also in the references section? Because punctuation marks, tanda titik, full stop, comma, colon, semicolon, inverted comma, double inverted comma ni marks the structure of a text, showing where each idea begins and ends and how they relate to one another. Some of the most common grammatical mistakes can be fixed by simply adding, removing, or moving a punctuation mark. Learn when to use commas and when to use a colon or semicolon in a more appropriate choice. Dashes and hyphens look similar, but they have different functions. Avoid mixing them up and check that you have been consistent. Ini yang saya kata tadi nak cerita masa saya buat PhD tu. Dah habis, I have finished writing everything. Only the references part and in-text citation. You know, we have to print and we have to go back from this page to that page. So my experience, you know what was the experience? My wife would be driving the car from Sungai Petani to Kuala Kangsar before reaching KL. Along the way, I would be doing these references. Tukar driver, we stop for a while, and then I will continue 24 hours. When we reach the hotel, tak siap lagi until the next day. Don't say, my message is this, don't say references ni sekejap sahaja. It is not. It takes weeks and many cycles to finalize references. My friends, please, nampak macam punctuation, titik, koma, full stop, itu saja. But it is more than that. Okay. In academic writing, it is important to avoid plagiarism. So make sure to use quotation marks every time you use someone else's words. So quotation marks. Check that you have used the right form of quotation marks. Put other punctuation in the right place and properly integrated the quote into your own text. Okay, salah satu cara nak buat to make sure that you do not plagiarize is by having quotation mark. Make sure you correctly use apostrophes to form the possessive with singular and plural nouns. Apostrophe, ya, kat atas tu. Capitalization. Capitalization, huruf besar pula. Capitalization rules in English require you to understand the difference between common and proper noun. Common noun, proper noun. Kata nama am dan kata nama khas. Bandaraya is kata nama am. Pekan is kata nama am. Bandar is kata nama am. But if you mention Sungai Petani, if you mention Kuala Lumpur, that is proper noun. Mesti dengan huruf besar. K, L. Kangar, K huruf besar. In academic writing, some of the most frequent errors relate to capitalizing models, theories and disciplines. And of course, macam tadi lah, kita tiba-tiba buat capitalize semua tajuk-tajuk artikel, but actually only the first word yang kena capitalize. Cuba you bayangkan, you ada 40 muka surat references, reference list. Macam mana nak perbetulkan balik, nak check? You should also make sure you use a consistent style of capitalization for titles and headings. Ladies and gentlemen, we come to an end of our discussion. What you need to do from my own experience and from experience from other friends as well, and from the reading material, you want to publish, very good. But never put references and in-text citation as the last process. Get the general requirement before attempting to write and submit an article. Your life will be much easier. Like I mentioned to you, Chicago. So macam tu lah juga. Buatlah sekali lah Chicago. Tengok, ya Allah, yang tu yang paling panjang. It takes longer to learn Chicago rather than to write the article. Identify specific citations are required by the journal. This one, a must. Ada pula yang kata, oh kalau yang mana journal tak buat APA, tak payahlah, kita cari yang journal lain lah. MLA tak payah buat lah. But sometimes the MLA or the APA you want to send in order to get something. Q1 or Q2. Maybe the MLA is Q1 or Q2 and that's what you are targeting for 2021. Yang APA tu ada tapi Q3 or Q4. Of course, we want to go for higher ranking. And the last one, though authors usually leave in-text citation and references as the last process, it actually saves time if you do it as the paper progresses. Buat sikit. Yeah, that one, it will save you time and it will also keep you sane, less stress. Stress dah, tapi kurang sikit lah. Okay, this is very important. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow authors, fellow supervisors, fellow colleagues, we have APA checklist from Portland. We use the following checklist to check and edit your writing assignments prior to submission. Okay, we have font type, font size, whether the entire paper is double space, including references, no extra space between paragraph, all content except centered headings, okay, semua ni lah. And then title page. You know why? This is because there will be differences in other citation style. Walaupun kita tengok sini, ini macam similar saja, and you must make sure that this one is APA. And then title page, and then author. APA 7-star edition journal article checklist. This one is for journal. You want to submit author, year, article, journal name, You can get this at apastyle.apa.org/instructional-8/handouts-guide. I myself find this very, very useful. That we have to make ourselves familiar with all this. So, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we have questions here from Dr. Nurliana. In text, tarikh kena letak ke? Yes, dalam in-text citation, tarikh kena letak. Kalau news, mesti letak sekali dengan date dan juga bulan, selain daripada tahun. Okay, another question by Professor Maida Dr. Rohana Ngah. Grammarly selalu highlight to turn from passive to active sentences. Contoh, the data collected was then analysed using SPSS. Perlu ke tukar kepada active sentence? Yang tu tak perlu. Ya, Grammarly ni what we call it? Kita selalunya in academic we advise, kita nasihat yang penting kalau macam ni, the data collected was then analysed using SPSS. Ini ayat pasif dan yang kita nak pentingkan adalah data. Kalau kita tukarkan kepada active sentences, dia akan jadi the researcher then analyze the data using SPSS. Dalam situasi ini, dalam kes akademik, kita fokus kepada data tu. Dan kita tidaklah perlu highlight kepada researcher tu. Itulah yang kadang-kadang dia akan jadi conflicting. Yang mana kita nak frontkan dalam kes ni, researcher ataupun author tidak lagi menjadi sesuatu yang perlu dilaporkan. Yang perlu dilaporkan dalam metodologi ini adalah the data collected. Dan itulah salah satu nasihat yang juga boleh saya kongsi pada hari ini, ya, Profesor Maida Dr. Rohana. Itu daripada saya. Ada soalan lagi tak? Dipersilakan.
Dr. Wan, saya ada soalan. Maybe you dah cover pun tadi, maybe I missed the point. Sometimes we receive or we get like data reference like from Jabatan Statistik, sometimes Jabatan in my case once I receive data for tourists coming into Taman Negara, so I receive the data from Jabatan Perkhidmatan, from the office. So how would I like cite in text citation and also at the back at the referencing list, at the reference list, because
data tu
dia macam tourist coming into Taman Negara, so I would like to cite that how many, the total tourists that came. So I wanted to state my sample, how many samples that are going, how many people are going to be my sample. So I nak cite lah yang data tu datang daripada Jabatan Perkhidmatan. So how would I state that the data came from Jabatan Perkhidmatan?
Data tu satu, kita boleh cite jabatan itu sendirilah. Doktor.
Okay. So
kalau dia ada laporan, kalau dia ada dalam proper laporan, dia ada dua. Satu, kalau kita kata data tu datang daripada jabatan tu kan. Jabatan tu kita boleh cite sebagai sumber jabatan. Ataupun kalau macam setengah-setengah laporan tu disediakan oleh pihak ketiga, contohnya disediakan oleh Universiti Malaysia Pahang. So data tu dah compile dan dibukukan, kita boleh cite laporan itulah.
Oh, tapi ini dia datang macam
data tu, yang tu yang kita nak confirm.
Excel aja.
Sorry doktor, dalam Excel saja ya.
Excel saja.
Kalau macam Excel tu kita cite institusi itulah.
Baik.
Institusi yang memberikan data tu.
Baik, okey.
dia balik kepada citation kepada institution tadi tu, yang corporate tadi, yang awal tadi tu.
So kita kena letak tahun ke atau macam tahun yang kita dapat tu lah ya? Macam jabatan.
Tahun yang kita dapat untuk
Contoh,
jabatan perkhidmatan.
lepas tu dalam
Laporan tahun berapa.
okay.
Dalam kurungan tahun berapa.
Baik. Okay. So di depan pun dalam in-text pun jabatan perkhidmatan sahajalah dan tahun dia sahajalah ya?
Ya, ya.
Baik, okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Tadi ada yang minta dia punya handout ni. Nanti saya akan adapt dan saya akan bagi kepada penganjur lah.
Baik, terima kasih Doktor.
Okey, sama-sama. Boleh saya stop sharing ke?
Boleh.
Boleh tengok muka pula.
Okay. If anybody have any more questions, you may ask directly to Dr. Wan, or you can also type into the chat box. Mai minta slide Dr. Wan ni.
Okey, boleh. Nanti saya akan adapt dulu lah supaya senang, tak jadi panjang. Dr. Nurul Anis boleh, nanti saya akan bagi dekat penganjur. InsyaAllah.
Because part referencing ni kita tak pandai-pandai kita. Tak pandai-pandai kita macam kena, bila nak buat tu kita kena refer balik. Refer semula kepada catatan kan. Dia macam. Betul.
Saya pun belajar ni. Hari ni pun kita belajar banyak benda baru daripada soalan-soalan rakan-rakan, daripada soalan doktor semua. Yang paling penting sekali, kena bergantung kepada perubahan.
Sir, one more question.
Saya pun terkejut. Ya, boleh.
Tadi saya cakap dekat bahagian reference yang belakang tu, kan macam for example tajuk paper tu kan.
Yeah.
So dia punya starting word tu je lah yang capital kan, yang the rest of the words tu semua dia small letter kan.
Ya, betul.
Okay, sebab selalu confuse kat
Irham ni was my student sebab tak selalu mention nama dia. Sila ni dia pun dah hebat dah di Perak tu.
Tak ada lah, biasa je.
Selalu ucik dia.
Okay, saya nak confirm yang tu sebab saya always macam buat capital letter for each word tu kan.
Betul lah tu. Kita selalu berubah-ubah kan.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Any more questions? I think the participant is trying to still to digest the information. Too much information.
Yeah.
Dia macam
For your information, ladies and gentlemen, kalau tidak ada pengalaman menaik atas kereta from Sungai Petani to KL, lepas tu sambung dekat hotel, tak tidur 24 jam, 36 jam dekat hotel, tu balik sekali, pergi pula buat semua macam tu, then I dare not share the story with you. That's what happened.
Yes. Now, and I think now some of my students, they really they really rely on Mendeley and EndNote. Tak silap saya.
Betul.
Yeah, and they are so confident with Mendeley that they do not do they don't cross check. And bila tak cross check, bila kita tanya nanti dia kata I dah pakai Mendeley. I mean, so I think that shouldn't happen. We must like check satu-satu manually, page per page, with the list that we have at the back of our thesis kan. Macam tu kan Dr. Wan? Because that's what we did. I mean, that's what I did. Buka satu, tengok, check belakang, buka satu, check belakang. Although it is our thesis and we are doing it like day in, day out, but it doesn't mean that we memorize all the references that we have come across. So I think that should happen. We couldn't just rely on software to do the checking for us. We have to cross-check manually.
Betul. Doktor, yang tu yang saya kata tadi tu, Mendeley, EndNote, Google Scholar,
Ya.
dia bagi je. Tapi yang tahu betul salah tu kita.
Ya.
Contohnya macam Mendeley apa semua tu kan. Kalau pakai Mendeley ni memang senang. Ada dua yang problem. Nanti bila submit thesis, apa yang berlaku? Kena letak turn it in. Banyak yang masuk dalam turn it in, kalau pakai Mendeley, dia akan jadi plagiarism tu more than 30%.
Oh, kenapa tu Dr. Wan?
Sebab kita copy paragraph by paragraph masuk dalam Mendeley tu, nanti dia akan generate balik. So, bila jadi macam tu, dia akan jadi chunks. We take chunks from the original article atau original text. Walaupun nampak macam tu sebagai citation, tapi nanti dalam turn it in, dia akan consider sebagai plagiarism. So you have to be careful of two things. The first one, nanti later bila you submit, turn it in akan kacau. And the second is reference. Reference yang I tunjuk yang macam Google Scholar tadi lah. Google Scholar pun masih tak tepat. Semua I buat macam-macam. I minta orang library tolong checkkan, bayar apa semua kan. Sampai macam tu. Tapi in the end, your thesis, your journal article, your manuscript, you are responsible. Sebab nanti yang akan pulangkan kepada kita, sama ada examiner ataupun kalau macam dalam case manuscript of journal ni, reviewer, dia orang yang akan pulangkan. Kita kena tahulah apa benda tu yang berlaku. Nanti dia, kalau dia pun dalam bidang tu, dia kata please cite original source ataupun this citation is wrong because this is actually an edited book, not a book. Dia kata macam tu. Kita pula just ambil secondary ke ataupun from third hand information, tak tahu from the original source. Yang macam tu lah. Itu kita belum cakap nama-nama Asia lagi. Yang ni kena ada workshop lain lah pula. Cakap nama-nama European, nama-nama Asian, yang nama-nama Lee Chong Wei dengan Michael Jackson, apa beza dia. Yang tu kena workshop lain pula. Yang tu lagi panjang.
Tak boleh tanya lah Dr. Wan.
Boleh, tapi saya rasa kalau yang tu nanti kalau saya explain, kita buka buku baru pula ni lagi sampai pukul 1 lah doktor.
Ya, sebab Dr. Wan itu yang kita selalu counter lah now lately lah kan, sebab kita ada paper macam daripada Korea, so dia ada macam nama, kita tak tahu mana satu nama family dia. Kalau kata yang European names tu, kita tahu yang nama family dia adalah nama yang belakang. So nama belakang tak juga.
Tak juga. Sebab saya ada satu tu berbulan-bulan, bertahun-tahun saya duk cari benda tu. Rupanya nama citation ni memang belai langsung. Itu nama Spanish.
Oh, jadi macam mana kita nak, what is the rule of thumb? Kalau kata kita ada nama-nama tu, macam mana kita nak tahu itu adalah nama pertama dia atau nama kedua? Atau kita pandai-pandai je, okay ini yang kat belakang ni kita letakkan kat depan dan how?
Itu soalan yang baik, dan kalau sebenarnya benda ni kena buat face to face ni, depan dalam laptop apa semua. Sebagai contoh doktor, kita tengok Irham Ishak. Kalau ambil dalam Google Citation, dia akan cite Ishak.
Yep.
Alhamdulillah nama Melayu ni nama bapa ujung. So nama bapa ujung samalah macam nama surname.
Yep.
Michael Jackson, kita ambil Jackson. So nama Melayu ni Irham Ishak, ambil Ishak juga. Nampak tu macam samalah. Tapi kalau macam Lee Chong Wei, family name di belakang. Kita sebagai author, we must be culturally sensitive kepada perbezaan-perbezaan ni.
Okay.
Dan so, kalau nama Indonesia pula, cuba nama Indonesia. Doktor ada mate tak? Ada mate tak? Mate Indonesia kat rumah? Rumah kawan-kawan ke, rumah adik ke, abang ke?
Tak ada mate doktor.
Okey, kalau tak ada mate, cuba tengok nama Indonesia pula. Nama Indonesia tak ada nama bapa, tak ada nama family. So nak cite nama siapa? Melainkan cite nama dia je lah.
Nama-nama dia lah. Tapi nama depan kan nama belakang?
Kadang-kadang macam contohnya dulu masa mate saya tu nama Rina. Nama tu je dia ada. Rina tu je lah. Kalau ada dua nama, dia jadi lain lah.
Kalau dua nama, kita akan letak nama belakang dia ke depan lah ya? Rina tu akan jadi belakang. Katakan Rina Permatasari. So Permatasari tu akan berada di depan, Rina tu jadi R.
Okay, another, this one is, I think the safest answer is, satu, kalau jurnal sekarang ni, dia akan tanya kita, how do you want
Yes.
to be cited?
Betul. Saya selalu
So kalau how do you want to be cited, banyak dah jurnal-jurnal sekarang ni dia akan tulis please cite this author using this specific name.
Ya.
Kita pakai yang tu.
Ya. Oh, okey. Lepas tu
Sebab
doktor, saya
yang tu
kadang-kadang pernah jumpa sekali.
dia ya. Jumpa apa tu doktor?
Saya pernah jumpa nama dia macam Lee, lepas tu Guy Lin, G-U-Y, lepas tu dash Lin.
Ya.
Dia siap dash. So saya pun dah tak tahu yang Guy Lin tu ke yang nama family atau Lee tu yang nama family. So saya main teka je lah. Bila kita tak tahu. Bila kita tak tahu, kita tengok daripada depan, kita tengok daripada artikel kat depan kat abstract tu. So macam Lee, Guy Lin, dia tulis nama nama yang penuh lah, penulis-penulis. So saya pun tulis sendiri. Dia tak ada macam ada jurnal yang dia beri how would you like being cited kan? Dia ada macam
betul. Dr. Wan Zumusni pun cakap macam tu. Betul lah tu.
Tapi kadang-kadang tak ada tu, macam mana kita nak buat?
Okay, kalau tak ada pula, yang ni lagi satu level of investigation. Kita cari kita cari author lain yang cite dia. Kan kita ada banyak kan, kata this author has been cited by for example 10 people, 20 people ataupun 20 different journals kan. Kita pergi tengoklah macam mana orang tu cite dia.
Ni ada potential business ni Dr. Wan. Boleh buat benda ni saja.
Boleh.
Menulis kita dah belajar 4 minggu, menulis pun belum pandai lagi. Tiba-tiba nak buat citation, aduh. Siapa yang buat business?
Itulah dia sebab tu kalau depan ni tak berapa nampak. Kalau ada masing-masing ada laptop apa semua, saya boleh tunjuk macam mana nak buat tu. Dia lebih baik. Memanglah tu Dr. Wan Zumusni pun kata memang ada perkhidmatan yang offer reference checking. Soalnya librarian apa semua boleh buat lah. Orang daripada information management. Thank you Dr. Wan. Anything else Doctor? I'm very happy that my session ni apa orang kata memberi manfaat pada semua lah.
Oh banyak ni, banyak persoalan yang masih lagi. Saya rasa the best thing is as we do it, our referencing, then you are here with us. Bila kita jumpa je kita boleh tanya kan, because bila sekarang kita based on apa yang kita pernah lalui and we ask questions. Tapi kalau yang as we do our referencing tu, then ada cikgu sekali dengan kita dan senang. Dan masa tu lagi banyak soalan, lagi meriah dia punya discussion tu kan.
Discussion, yes.
Sekarang ni ada banyak daripada Korea, daripada Korea yang saya perasan. Dia banyak yang macam ada dash nama dia. Dia bukan, nama dia tak macam nama Chinese yang ada 3 tu. Dia nama dia.
Betul.
Lepas tu ada nama English. Dia ada nama English. Anna, lepas tu Lee, Guy Lin katakan contohnya. Macam okay.
Kita tak cite yang Anna tu lah. So kita takkan cite yang Anna tu. Takkan cite the Korean name. The
Korean name, Guy Lin. Walaupun dengan dash. Sebab itu dia letakkan dash sebab dia nak kita bawa sekali Guy Lin. Kita tak ambil Lin sajalah. Kalau dia buat Lee, Guy Lin, kita nanti mungkin gunakan Lin saja. So sebab tu dia Guy, dia dash kan. So,
itulah dash. Betul. Itu juga yang jadi dekat saya punya supervisor. Nama dia lain, tapi dia combine nama bapa dia dengan nama husband dia. Ikut nama dalam IC lain. Sebab tu dia nak kita cite dia nama, dia tak nak cite nama dia nak cite nama the father dash the husband. Kan tapi dia orang Malaysia, dia orang Melayu.
Maksudnya
that's why
dia pilih lah ya. Dia pilih.
Itu yang
using which abbreviation.
Yes. Yang macam tu. Yang macam doktor kata Korean tu kan. Malaysian pun ada macam tu.
Saya nama bapa saya 2, Tamby Chik. Chemah Tamby Chik. Saya memang daripada dulu saya biasa tulis tanpa benti. So Chemah Tamby Chik. Bila nak tulis dalam citation tu, dulu kita tak pandai. Masa kita balik tu kita okay lah, apa-apa je lah, tak kisahlah orang yang citekan kita kan. So ramai yang macam saya punya citation dah banyak yang gunakan Chik.
Sebab dia Google Scholar dia ambil nama family name tu.
Yang belakang tu Chik. Walhal Chik is not my father's name. I mean my father's name is Tamby Chik. So dah macam too late lah untuk nak dashkan dia kan. Dulu tak pandai dulu Dr. Wan.
Tak apa doktor. Doktor boleh listkan semua citation yang Chik tu as your own. Yang Tamby Chik pun as your own. And then you yourself, whether lepas ni you bagi tahu that I prefer to be cited as Chemah Tamby Chik, full name. Soalnya kalau Asian name ni kita boleh cite full name. Kalau macam Malaysian name, kalau Asian authors dia akan faham. Dia akan cite Wan Irham Ishak 2010 contohnya. Semua sekali lah. Kalau Chemah Tamby Chik pun boleh, ataupun if you want to look at Tamby Chik. Because kalau macam American ni, dia faham nama dia aja. Michael Junior Jackson. Dia akan ambil yang tu lah. Sebab tu saya pun di-cited sebagai Ishak. Nama saya dah jadi confused dengan seorang lagi Ishak from UiTM. Semua publication saya masuk jadi dia punya.
Prof Wan, Prof Wan, ya. Ada Prof Wan Ishak. Wan juga.
Ada Ishak kat belakang tu lah yang dia orang ambil sekali tu.
Ya. Any more questions?
Actually, we are learning intercultural differences.
Yeah.
Nama bapak depan, nama mamak belakang. Lepas tu macam mana yang kita nak citation kan.
And only we understand how the names should be read, should be pronounced, right? Kan ada pronunciation.
Betul.
Ejaan, some people they have like macam nama macam Russians, dia ada font nama dia tu kita tak boleh lepaskan. Kita macam kalau ada E ada tanda atas, kita tak boleh lepaskan dia punya E tanda atas tu kerana itu adalah nama dia kan.
Betul, dia Cyrillic, bahasa tulisan Cyrillic. So, yang tu kalau ni jadi nama lain lah. Sama macam betul lah Russian, Scandinavian countries pun ada nama-nama macam tu juga. And orang tu nama dia Shrut, from Shrut. Saya jumpa di UiTM tu, Shrut nama dia, daripada Amsterdam.
So how does the name spell like?
Shrod, Shrut. Tapi pronunciation Shrut.
Okay.
Dia surprise sebab apa kita boleh sebut nama dia. Kata orang negara lain, orang European lain tak boleh sebut. I kata dekat dia, we the Malays have the most versatile tongue. Sebab kita belajar bahasa Melayu, bahasa Arab kan.
Dan kita baca Quran kan, kita ada pronunciation bahasa Quran.
Itulah cerita dia.
Dr. Wan.
Dr. Rauf, okey. Ya, Dr. Rauf.
Nak tanya lagi, ini yang biasa saya buat lah, tak tahu betul ke salah. Contoh nama Chinese name Lee Chong Wei, kalau saya citation saya letak according to Lee 2010. Lepas tu kalau reference dia Lee C, W titik. Macam tu betul ke?
Betul.
Ikut itu sebab nama keluarga dia belah depan kan, bukan belakang. So kita ambil Lee tu lah kan?
Ya.
Okay. Tu je nak tanya.
Tepat dah tu, Dr. Rauf. Hebat dah tu.
Nak confirm je.
Terima kasih masuk join sesi saya.
Okay, tak apa. Terima kasih, Doktor.
Okey, sama. Dr. Nur Ida Aniza. Mendeley ni boleh pakai, tak ada masalah apa. Cuma kita lah kena be careful. Kalau kita ada our students, yang nombor satu sekali, bila ni kita minta dia paraphrase. Ayat-ayat tu jangan copy sebiji-sebiji daripada buku, daripada journal dan masukkan dan buat citation. Sebab nanti dia akan consider sebagai plagiarism juga. Yang kedua, kalau dalam Mendeley tu, kalau ada citation ataupun reference first pun, kita kena bagi tahu lah our students, you must again check the validity, the name and so on, sources tu betul ataupun tak. Itu sahaja. Boleh digunakan, tak ada masalah. Tapi kita kena make sure our students aware of plagiarism. Kalau tak mau plagiarism, kena ada paraphrasing, ayat-ayat bersesuaian dan tidaklah copy word by word from the original text. Itu ya, Doktor. Tapi kalau buat sendiri lagi baiklah. Macam thesis ni betul saya minta my wife tolong edit apa semua, bila ayat-ayat semua kita tak ambil lah Mendeley apa semua tu, kita dapat 8-9% je turn it in. Tapi ayat sendirilah.
That's what I told my my undergrad student. There was one time kita cakap sama, setiap kali kita dapat student kita akan cakap yang sama. You read the article and you write on in your own words in your own sentences, your language, your own language. I mean your own sentences. Tapi tak semua yang ikut agaknya. Tapi this one group, dia betul-betul saya dapat je dia punya tu, saya tak baca lagi. Saya hanya turn it in dulu and it was like 9%. I was surprised because a student degree kan. So saya kata macam mana kita dapat 9% turn it in. Saya kata ikut cakap doktor lah. Baca, tulis ayat sendiri. Memanglah tonggang langgang Englishnya. Dia punya kena reading apa semua. But then at least dah satu kata one stage is fulfill lah. Maknanya you don't plagiarize, you know, you just don't copy paste lah, you just read and you write in your words. Yes. Itu lebih senang nak baiki ayat.
Kalau dah betul, kalau tiba-tiba 30%, 35% dan dia dah hantar yang tebal ni, dia nak kena buat balik, sakit dan motivation dia very low lah.
Ya, betul. At least baca English tu lebih proofread untuk English sahaja better daripada you nak rephrase. Sebab sometimes bila you there's a catch bila kita try to copy paste and then kita nak jadikan dia ayat kita, lebih payah kerana the sentences are already perfect in its sense kan bila kita copy paste tu.
Betul.
Lebih baik kita baca ikut pemahaman kita dan kita type rather than kita ambil dulu ayat yang tu. Sebab nanti kita
yang tu lah. Itulah retell in your own words macam Dr. Wan Zumus ni katalah. Yang Dr. Chemah buat tu paraphrase lah tu.
Kita baca tulis rather than tu. That's what
baca faham tulis balik. Baca faham tulis balik.
Tapi tak semua, I mean this is my undergrad student lah, so tak semua yang dengar cakap kita. Bila yang dengar tu kita kata macam mana you dapat 9% perancat kan. Buat macam tu lah.
For your information, ladies and gentlemen, doktor, pelajar-pelajar generasi baru ni yang kita tahu adalah mereka ni dui bahasa. Walaupun dia kata dia hanya bercakap bahasa Melayu. The new generation of Malaysian society directly dalam bahasa dia tidak boleh pun nak bercakap sepenuh ayat bahasa Melayu. Dia mesti juga campur dalam bahasa Inggeris. So we are becoming more and more bilingual. Kita bercakap dua bahasa. Cuma yang tu lah nak minta dia nak guidekan dia supaya boleh tulis dalam bahasa Inggeris. Our society in general, we are actually becoming bilingual. Not just di Malaysia, saya bersama dengan counterparts di Indonesia dan di Thailand juga. Memang dalam ayat-ayat sebutan harian pun banyak yang telah menggunakan kataan-kataan bahasa Inggeris. Tapi tanpa sedar, without we even realizing it, we are using English in our Malay sentences, in our Malay conversation. So kalau ada golongan pelajar yang boleh berbahasa Inggeris dan tulis elok tu, memang ada dah grup-grup macam ni dah wujud dah. The new generation of the Malaysian society.
Ya, betul. Ramai yang minta slide. Ramai yang minta slide.
Boleh. Okey, boleh. Nanti saya adaptkan, saya bagi dekat Renew, dekat Puan Amni, nanti Puan Amni boleh emailkan kepada semua lah. Boleh macam tu?
Yes please.
InsyaAllah ya, semua para peserta kita akan buat macam tu lah.
Saya nak baca. To the participants, please, we have already posted the attendance form in the chat box. So please, before you exit, make sure that you have signed up for the attendance. Then it will be inserted into your jam latihan, insyaAllah.
Yes, that's what we want, right? Jam latihan.
Jam latihan, ilmu tu dulu. Jam latihan tu kemudian sebab at the rate of us having webinar almost like at least once a month tu memang ada, confirm. But yang every week tu at Renew we have like every week. So our jam latihan is pretty much covered. Cuma
good.
Cuma masuk tak masuk je lah, dengar tak dengar. So ilmu tu lebih penting saya rasa daripada jam latihan. Jam latihan can easily be, you know, you can get it from everywhere. Bengkel pun kadang dah dapat dah jam latihan. Right. Our sesi is, okay, we are like another 5 minutes. Kita bagi peluang if anybody still have something to ask. We have Dr. Wan Irham Ishak from UiTM Merbok here with us. Or else just now I have already shared with you Dr. Wan Irham's email address and email address. I think I did I give them your phone number? I'm not sure. Okay.
Okay, my phone number 0167739557. That's my phone number dekat dalam chat box.
Yep, okay. Betul? So,
Ya, betul.
boleh tanya Dr. Wan Irham, and insyaAllah he will try to answer.
InsyaAllah.
Oh, okay. You pun type juga ya, Doktor? Okay. So, I think masa pun dah jam 12. We have you for 2 hours. InsyaAllah, if anything, in the future, we will try to, kalau ada bengkel bila dah tak ada COVID ni, maybe we can call you down to Shah Alam and have a proper face-to-face bengkel, insyaAllah. Kalau dah tak ada, dah okay dah kan?
Saya berbesar hati dan saya rasa macam ni memang kalau face to face bawa laptop tu akan lebih meaningful.
Ya, betul. Sebab
panggil je doktor, dipersilakan.
InsyaAllah nanti kita try dulu sebab lepas COVID lah, sebab kita orang dekat fakulti pula, dekat Shah Alam pun meeting pun online. Although we are like, you know, we are in the same building but we stay in our own rooms and we have meeting together. We do not stay in one room. We
okay.
Office but not in our individual room sebab tak nak contact and dekat and whatnot kan. As for me, daripada Renew, we thank you Dr. Wan for spending your 2 hours with us, giving us a very good input, especially in completing our research article. The participants have their they have to produce a publication from these 5 weeks of training, of this webinar series training every week, and I think yours is the final component to completing an article. So I think after this we'll be getting the articles and maybe we'll do some review and we will keep you in mind as one of the reviewers if need be, insyaAllah.
InsyaAllah.
Okay, so thank you participants for joining us today. I'm Chemah from Renew, and thank you Dr. Wan Irham, and all the best. Good day.
Thank you Dr. Chemah. Thank you everyone.